Welcome everyone to this video. It's that time of the year again, the top 15 best of videos for movies and TV shows. Now in this video, I'm going to give you my top 15 best TV shows of 2023. Now some of these I did not do a review on, but I will get to those later on. So let's start off with number 15. Number 15 on my list is Fubar, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is a great comedy show, very underrated. Loved everything about it. Seeing Schwarzenegger do a comedy show like this, especially for Netflix, is really, really good. It's different, it's original. Not only that, you have the dynamic that he has with his daughter on this show, his make-believe daughter on this show. But it's really, really good. It's really, really fun, and the action is great. But then every episode leaves you with wanting more, and they do just that. So number 15 on my list is Fubar. Number 14 on my list is Sanctuary. It's a Japanese Netflix series about sumo wrestling. The emotional aspect to this, the action is great, the intensity is great, the dynamic, the thrills, the drama is even better. It's one of those shows that fell under the radar, and it's a really, really good, interesting show. Just the dynamic of how the camera work is done and how the story goes is really good. You see a sumo wrestler who just wants to make money for certain purposes, and he does that, but then he starts to become the best sumo wrestler in the country, and it just shows how and the progression of what happens, and the ifs, ands, or buts about the nightlife, the lifestyle that you have, and who can you and who can't you trust. So number 14 on my list is Sanctuary. Number 13 on my list is Poker Face. This was an underrated, fantastic comedy show, and it's just really different than what you see. Seeing the guest stars really made this show and each episode really worth watching, because you didn't know what to expect. You didn't know who was going to come on. The comedy is great. The one-liners are great. And it's just a feel-good show that when you watch, you're like, holy shit, why didn't I think of a show like that? It's fun from start to finish. You can binge watch it. It's great. It's a show that should get rave reviews or not, but it will get word of mouth recommendation, which I really hope it does, because it's a really, really good show. So number 13 on my list is Poker Face. Number 12 on my list is Song of the Bandits. It's a South Korean Netflix series that takes place in the 1920s and follows South Korean kind of like cowboys in a way, fighting the Japanese, and how one man must come together to get a group together in order to fight back against the bad guys. It has that nice Magnificent Seven feel to it. The Western aspect is great. The cinematography is great. The story is great. It's a really, really short series that you can binge watch, but it's so effective and fun that when you watch it, you're like, wow, why isn't this an American TV show? I wouldn't be surprised if it comes to that, but for now, Song of the Bandits is really, really good, and it's really, really fun. I loved it. I enjoyed it. I'm a big fan of South Korean and Japanese foreign shows that really hit the mark on being amazing and fun all at the same time, which is why number 12 on my list is Song of the Bandits. Number 11 on my list is Rabbit Hole, starring Kiefer Sutherland. Now, they did not renew this for a second season. Season 1, that was it. But Kiefer Sutherland's character is really good in this. It tells a story about a man who tries to fight AI, computers, and trying to manipulate the government and doing things, but being at one place, but trying to cover your ass at another. It's really good. The story really is engaging. There are some characters that are good and bad, some you like, some you don't like, but it's just the aspect of what it is, how it's going, and it's just like, what can happen if, Big Brother spots you, but then, you're at one place, but then you're not there, but you didn't do that, or you didn't commit that crime. What's the whole thing about that? Kiefer Sutherland in a show like this is always fun. It really, really is underwhelming that it didn't get picked up for another season, because this was a very well written show. Charles Dance plays his father in this, and there's a nice homage to different aspects of technology in it, which is really fun to see. The action is good, but it's the story that drives it along and makes you want more, especially with how each episode ends. So number 11 on my list is Rabbit Hole. Number 10 on my list is Hijack with Idris Elba, which premiered on Apple TV+. I was very hesitant about this because I actually thought that this was a movie, but then when I started watching it and saw that it was episodic, I was like, okay, this is very different and interesting. Good thing is that it is an episodic series and TV show, because this wouldn't work as a movie. I mean, the aspect and the concept is there, but you can't just take every component in this show and dwindle it down to a 2.5 hour, 2 hour and 45 minute film, which I think would be the necessary runtime for a movie like this. The aspect of the manipulation, the action, what everyone will go to do to save their ass is really, really good. And Idris Elba has been in some phenomenal movies and not so good movies, and he has been in some amazing TV shows and, not so good TV shows. But I feel like he's better at TV shows because it shows his range, his emotion, the action he puts into it, and it's really, really fun to see. I didn't expect to like this, but I actually really did, which is why it's number 10 on my list. Number 9 on my list is One Piece, which premiered on Netflix and is one of the biggest shows of 2023 on Netflix. This was true to the cartoon. It's based out of Japan and it's really fun. It's in your face. It's great. I was very hesitant because, of course, the whole backlash and the controversy of not having Asian actors or whatever it is. But if you read the manga, you read, you see the cartoons, it's all fits perfectly, and just how they captured everything and every moment is really good. If you're not a fan of it and you don't know what it is, still check it out because it's that much fun. It's that much cohesion involved in everything, and it's really, really good to see that a show like this was pushed forward by Netflix. And, Netflix has some hit or misses, and this was a big, big hit for Netflix. So number 9 on my list is One Piece. Number 8 on my list is Lawmen, Bass Reeves. This is a show that premiered on Paramount Plus, and it's from executive producer Taylor Sheridan, who is known for creating the Yellowstone universe and a bunch of other critical hit acclaimed shows on Paramount Plus. This is a fun, fun show. If you like westerns, if you love the history aspect of it, this is a show for you. David Oyelowo is fantastic as Bass Reeves. The aspect of, it's slow going. No, it's not. It's the slow progression of the story that is climbs and climbs and climbs. In each episode, it's really good. You have Dennis Quaid in it. You also have Donald Sutherland playing a judge. It's a fun, fun show that everything put together in a blender. It's at the end of it, it's really, really good. There are some minor instances where it's like I wanted for them to focus more on the villains that Bass Reeves captures, but it just wasn't there. But I understand that it's a show just for him, but it really, really worked in a way where it's like, oh, that was fun and that was interesting, and it's just the dialogue, the banter, and the sarcasm that this show has. It just fits in the mold of what it was like back then, being an African American black man, being a U.S. Deputy Marshal and capturing close to over 3,000 fugitives, which is why number 8 on my list is Lawman, Bass Reeves. Number 7 on my list is The Days. The Days is a Japanese Netflix series which tells the story of the Fukushima Daiichi Prefecture nuclear disaster that happened after the earthquakes in Japan in March of 2011. The aspect is fantastic. I mean, you thought Chernobyl on HBO was good. It's like, oh, no other show could do what Chernobyl did. The Days kind of, outdid it by a small margin. How everything was done was interesting. We didn't expect to see how things could happen, but this is Japan's Chernobyl show. We know how that show was for HBO. This for Netflix is really, really good and really, really underrated. If you want unexpected tension, thrills, drama, what's going to happen, what can happen next, and how the events of and the claustrophobia of that time work in a story and a show, check this show out. It's very, very underrated. It flew under the radar, very, very, unnoticed because it's, Netflix. They don't really push out their foreign content unless you know it's coming out. The acting is great. It's fun. And just what these characters did and to the real life people, it's like, wow. And then if you really look into it, it's like, okay, this is going to be really, really interesting. There are emotional aspects to it as well, so check it out if you enjoy that as well. But this was a fun, fun show that was really, really good, which is why number 7 on my list is The Days. Number 6 on my list is Black Knight, which is a South Korean Netflix series. But let me tell you, this was different. It's 6 episodes. It's in your face. It tells the story of a courier who delivers oxygen to people after the world goes desolate and you have to do certain things, and how he takes on a protege and everything transpires after that. The action is great. The setting is different. Like, can this really happen in the future? What if this does happen? Well, what this show does show that And just seeing the sci-fi aspect and feel to it is really, really good. But there's an underlining story as well. There's a subplot that drives the main plot forward to a point where it's like, what can be done? Why did they do this? And how the government still has small control over aspects of, what can happen in the future and even in the present day. And it just really, really transpires in a way where it's really, really good, which is why number 6 on my list is Black Knight. Number 5 on my list is Ashoka. Ashoka is a really, really well done Star Wars show on Disney Plus. There are a lot of people that don't like it. Fine, that's your opinion. Shut the hell up. Move on. But don't give negativity or bad press to Star Wars fans who love a show like this. And the only thing that's keeping the Star Wars universe going are shows like this. It's great. Rosario Dawson is phenomenal as Ashoka. There are some characters that are minute that really don't drive the story forward enough, but I feel like it was just there. Grand Admiral Thrawn, or whatever you want to call him, his name is, he made the show even better after his introduction to the live action version. Yes, we've seen him in the animated series that he's in the Star Wars universe. We saw that with Ashoka as well. But then how it comes to live action is really great. The dynamic, the aspect, the lore of the Jedi, the Dark Jedi, the light. I mean, Sith is not even mentioned. We do have Anakin Skywalker return, Hayden Christensen as Darth Vader, and even as Anakin Skywalker. But also, there are mentions of Supreme Lord and the leaders and what's going to happen, and it's really, really good. The ending was fun. It could have drawn out more, but I feel like for whatever it was really, really good, and it really brought the whole Star Wars aspect to full standstill in a way. And I mean, if there is a second season, it's going to be big and even better. So I can't wait for that. Which is why number 5 on my list is Ashoka. Number 4 on my list is Loki season 2. This is what the MCU is. This is what Marvel is. They know how to write their shows. Get the writers from the Loki writers room to write the rest of the MCU out, and it will be phenomenal. The aspect of how everything is and happened in these 6 episodes just brought to a standstill of what could happen with time travel. They wrote a whole new dynamic of timeline, time jumping, time manipulation, quantum, whatever it is. The pruning, they brought everything together and it made sense. Even the season 2 finale was phenomenal, great, and it just really, really fun where it was very different. Seeing Tom Hiddleston return in this role is so good. Him being the villain from Thor, the first movie, and all the way coming into Loki season 2, and being that somewhat of a savior for the MCU and the timeline really shows the dynamic of what can happen if you write a character very, very well over arcing movies and television shows, which is why number 4 on my list is Loki. Number 3 on my list is The Fall of the House of Usher. Mike Flanagan makes amazing shows. Some are hits, some are misses. This was really, really interesting and brutal. Some of it confusing at times. And I will admit, I had to watch some episodes twice to just understand the gist of it. The Edgar Allan Poe and the Stephen King aspect of everything was there. I mean, we know Mike Flanagan is a big, big fan of those two authors, and it shows in this. The acting is great. There are some uneasy episodes where you're like, holy shit, what the hell just happened, and why is this happening? The dynamic of the ensemble cast, I mean, writing for a show like this and including every character and trying to give every character just amount of good screen time, it's really, really cumbersome because you have to juggle so much in so little time, but it's done so, so well. The costumes are great, and how everything comes full circle in the end was different, especially how Mike Flanagan uses certain things based off of Poe or Stephen King for that matter, which is why number 3 on my list is The Fall of the House of Usher. Number 2 on my list is Twisted Metal, which premiered on Peacock. Anthony Mackie played a phenomenal, phenomenal character in this. It's filled with action and comedy, but it drives the story along. You want that action? It's there. It's based off of the video game of the same name, which I did not expect could be good. I was like, oh, they're making a Twisted Metal TV series. How's that going to happen? When you watch the trailers and you watch the show, you are mind blown and taken aback of how good this is. And Samoa Joe playing the actual, full-on Sweet Tooth, and then Will Arnett voicing Sweet Tooth. It's really, really fun. He was the breakout character for me. Seeing him live action works so well. I want a second season of Twisted Metal because it's so, so good. Each episode is close to half hour to 45 minutes, but it's done so well where the comedy and the gore and the violence works in a good point. And even Nev Campbell as the villain, like, what? I did not expect that. It's so, so good, which is why it's number 2 on my list. Now, number 1 best TV show of 2023 for me is Goosebumps. I was taken aback and blown away by how great this show is, how it's brought into today's world with different ways of how every single episode is based off of the Goosebumps books titles, and it's very different. It's not your original OG series that we grew up on in the 90s. This is very up to date. Justin Long is fantastic in this. Some say that Goosebumps is slow going, whatever, yada yada. No, it's not. Slappy being the main component and villain and bad guy in this, did not expect it until he was introduced. The way Slappy looks this time around, even more menacing, unnerving, unsettling, something that you can't get out of your head. Yes, the OG Slappy, look is there. In the books, it's there. Even in the films that start Jack Black. But this was different. This was fun. And how everything transpires, like, unbelievable. It's just, it works. And if you're that YA young adult, those young adult series of horror and romance and teens and whatever it is, this is a show for you. This works. And I absolutely love the show because the action is there, the emotion is there, and they actually were able to juggle each single character in their own way. And having so many characters in every episode, but focusing on them in a way where you didn't expect it is really, really good, and it really, really worked. Whereas, you had those shows in the 90s, like the original Goosebumps, where it was just like, oh, it's focused on the book title, let's do that. No, everything works in a way where it's done so well that it just really, really feels put together, which is why Goosebumps is number 1 on my list. So let me know in the comment section below if you agree or disagree with my top 15 best TV shows of 2023. And if you've seen some of these, if you haven't, will you be checking it out now that they are in my top 15? And what are your honorable mentions? And what do you think is the best TV show of 2023? And do you think that 2023 was the whole entire year good for TV, or was it just underwhelming just a bit? And what show would you watch over and over again? Let me know in the comment section below about all the questions I just asked, and be sure you click that subscribe button and hit that notification bell for new videos on my channel. I will see you all in the next review video. I'm Mr. Filmstock, and thank you so much for tuning into my video of the best 15 TV shows of 2023.